The January 6, 2021, riot at the U.S. Capitol was a defining moment in recent American history, marking the first time in over 2 centuries that the Capitol building was violently breached by a civilian mob. On that day, a large crowd of supporters of then-President Donald Trump gathered in Washington, D.C., as Congress prepared to formally certify the Electoral College results of the 2020 presidential election, which had declared Joe Biden the winner. For weeks, Trump and some of his allies had promoted claims, widely debunked by courts and election officials, that the election had been stolen through massive voter fraud, a narrative that resonated with a substantial segment of his supporters. On the morning of January 6th, Trump addressed thousands of his supporters at a rally near the White House, urging them to fight like hell and march to the Capitol. Shortly afterward, a substantial group from the rally proceeded to the Capitol, where the joint session of Congress was underway. By early afternoon, hundreds of people surged through police lines, using force and climbing barricades, and subsequently breached the building itself. The chaotic mob smashed windows, broke doors, and gained access to congressional offices and chambers, forcing lawmakers, staff, and Vice President Mike Pence to evacuate or shelter in place. As the rioters roamed the halls, waving flags and capturing the building, the certification process was temporarily halted amid intense scenes of confrontation. The immediate law enforcement response was met with widespread criticism. Capitol Police, facing an unexpectedly large and aggressive crowd, were quickly overwhelmed, and requests for National Guard assistance faced delays. Footage of Capitol Police officers confronting and, in some cases, appearing to accommodate rioters fueled controversy and scrutiny of security preparations. Lawmakers and the public questioned why more robust measures were not in place, given the public awareness of planned protests and escalating tensions online. In the days preceding January 6, the siege of the Capitol ultimately resulted in the deaths of 5 people, including Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, and injuries to over 100 law enforcement officers. Images of the aftermath, trashed offices, shattered windows, and a ransacked Senate chamber quickly circulated globally, sparking shock and condemnation from both American and international leaders. In the days following the riot, a sweeping law enforcement operation began, leading to the arrests and charges of hundreds of individuals, ranging from misdemeanor trespassing to serious charges such as assaulting law enforcement and, in some cases, seditious conspiracy. Among those charged were prominent members of far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, underscoring the role that extremist ideologies had played in the planning and execution of the attack. The Capitol riot had far-reaching consequences beyond the immediate legal and physical repercussions. The event led to Trump's second impeachment by the House of Representatives on charges of incitement of insurrection. Though he was ultimately acquitted by the Senate, a bipartisan House Select Committee was later formed to investigate the events of January 6, including the role of Trump, his advisors, and various online networks that had helped spread misinformation about the election. The committee's hearings, which featured testimonies from law enforcement, former White House staff, and other key figures, aimed to provide a detailed account of the factors that led to the attack and the failures in response. Additionally, the Department of Justice has pursued an extensive investigation into individuals who played roles in organizing and inciting the violence, resulting in a series of high-profile trials and convictions. The Justice Department's ongoing investigation, the largest in its history, has emphasized the need for vigilance against domestic extremism and has highlighted the often blurry lines between legitimate protest and violent insurrection. In the broader societal context, the January 6 attack underscored deep divisions within the United States, fueling renewed debates over the security of the electoral system, the spread of misinformation, and the role of social media in amplifying divisive rhetoric. The event has become a flashpoint in American political discourse, referenced frequently in discussions on democracy, accountability, and the peaceful transfer of power. For some Americans, the riot represented an attack on the core democratic values of the United States, while for others, it became a symbol of political discontent and distrust in institutions. The Capitol riot remains a deeply polarizing event, as ongoing investigations and trials continue to unfold, and as debates over election security, civil discourse, and government accountability persist.